So today we are, hopefully we can recognize what are the normal changes in pregnancy and understand what is the role of the placenta. Ang laki ng bagay ng placenta na ginagawa sa changes in the mother. What are the blood adaptations? What are the metabolic, endocrine, musculoskeletal, dermatologic, and correlate all of these physiological changes with clinical implications. Most of the changes in pregnancy are due to the baby and the placenta. And we have to understand all of these adaptations to avoid misinterpretations. And sometimes, pag nabuntis, lumalabas yung hindi dati nila alam na may sakit sila. Lumalabas, halimbawa, hindi niya alam meron pala siyang latent diabetes. Nung nabuntis siya, nagkaroon siya ng gestational diabetes. Tapos, nung hindi na siya buntis, hindi na naalis yung diabetes, natuluyan na siya ng diabetes. That can happen in pregnancy. Or else, we didn't know the woman had a cardiac problem. Nung nabuntis siya, doon lumitaw kasi nahirapan na siya because it was an added burden on her heart. So let us look now at what are the changes in the reproductive tract. On your left side, this is a non-pregnant uterus. And on the right side, this is a pregnant uterus. Immediately, you will see ang laki ng weight changes once na nabuntis siya. From a very small 70 grams, kumbaga sa palengke, yung mga nabibili sa palengke, 7 guhit lang. Diba, sasabihin lang, 5 guhit lang na karne, o ano, ito, 7 guhit lang. And then now, it becomes more than 1 kilo heavy. Dati, ang laman lang ng uterus na non-pregnant, almost 10 cc lang. A pregnant uterus can accommodate as big or as heavy as 20 liters. The shape of a non-pregnant uterus is pear-shaped. The moment it becomes pregnant, as the uterus grows larger, it becomes ovoid in shape. Non-pregnant, it is in the middle. Pregnant uterus is dextro-rotated. What do we mean by dextro-rotated? Kung ito yung uterus nakaharap sa'yo, pag buntis siya, pumapalig siya pa kanan. It rotates. This is important because when we do a cesarean section, we open the abdomen. Open the abdomen. Bubungad sa'yo yung uterus. Hindi bumubungad sa'yo yung anterior surface ng uterus. Ang humaharap sa iyo yung left fallopian tube. Kasi gumagano siya. So kung hindi ka maingat, magsisisarian ka, bubuksan mo yung uterus, ang na-slice mo yung left fallopian tube. Because you are not aware that the uterus dextro rotates. Bakit siya dextro rotation to the right? Because our rectosigmoid is on the left. If you look at our stomach, small intestine, large intestine, saan bumababa yung rectosigmoid? Sa left side. Another correlation, mas gusto natin hihiga si mommy on her left side. Bakit? Kasi yung dextro-rotated, rather the rectosigmoid, acts as a cushion for the uterus to live on. Rather than the mother resting on her right side. In the beginning, the uterus undergoes enlargement, but it is only, the emphasis is hypertrophy. Lumalaki lang ang muscles ng uterus. Hindi po dumadami ang muscles ng uterus. Lumalaki lang siya because of estrogen and progesterone. And the enlargement is in the vulval area. Ito ang nag-stretch out, pataas ng pataas ng pataas. And then, after 12 weeks, as the baby is growing, that's that's the time that the uterus is expanding anteroposteriorly. So sa umpisa, pataas dahil sa fundus. And if you will notice, ang uterus in the beginning of the first few weeks of pregnancy, hindi siya lumalabas beyond the pelvis. So hindi halata ang 12 weeks pregnancy kasi nakatago pa siya within the pelvis. And then ultimately, saka pa lang siya aakyat. So when you are doing a physical examination, you cannot feel the pregnant uterus if it's 3 months. Saka mo lang siya mafe-feel maybe mga 4 months, 5 months. And if you will, sometimes yung mga iba, di ba kakakasal lang niya last month? Bakit ang laki bigla ng tiyan niya? And this is because hindi pa nakikita yung uterus. Parang actually buntis na yung pasyente. And then, humahabol yan ng yung magkasya sa wedding dress nila. 4 months, medyo 5 months, pero 6 months din na yung kasya bigla. Magiging empire na lang yung kanilang mga wedding dress. So, when the uterus is enlarging, the numbers here are the weeks in age of gestation as the uterus is enlarging. So here it says, by the end of 12 weeks, the uterus now leaves the pelvis and becomes an abdominal organ. And there is dextrorotation. And I want you to remember this para meron lang kayong guide or landmark. 12 weeks, hindi mo pa siya nakakapa. 20 weeks is 5 months. Nandun na siya sa umbilicus. So the umbilicus is a landmark for 5 months pregnancy or 20 weeks. And then, paakit siya, 24, 32. Ano kung nangyayari dyan? Ay, itabi mo na ito para wala nang makaupo. Baka ako pa makaupo dyan. Mag-disgrasya pa ako. Sige, let's wait for them to baka may dumating kayo sa klase, huwag lang dito dyan. Sabihan nyo na lang. May dadating pa ba? Mag-aalis. Diyos ko naman. Alright. Pansinin nyo, mayroon ako yung tutorial. Tignan nyo, pansinin nyo. 24, 26, 32, 36 weeks. Nakasiksik siya sa taas. Tapos, yung 40 pababa. From mga 36 weeks hanggang dyan siya kalaki, tapos pababa siya. You will learn later on, this is what we call the phenomenon. Doktora, pwede mong ilak yan. Para sa likod na lang sila dadaan. Ha? Nalalak pa siya. Oo. Para kasi nakaka-disturb yung pumapasok sa araw. Yung phenomenon of what we call lightening, gumagaan ang pakiramdam niya. That's why you call it lightening. Bababa yung uterus kasi bababa yung baby down into the pelvic area. So this is a start of a pelvic organ which now becomes an abdominal organ. The uterus, once it's near term, manganganak na siya, the myometrium becomes very thin, 1 to 2 centimeters na lang, such that you can feel the baby through the abdomen of the mother, through the uterus. And this picture is showing you how we examine the pregnant woman using the Leopold's maneuver. May Leopold's maneuver na ba kayong lecture? Wala pa. Okay. During our prenatal check-up or visits, we do a Leopold's maneuver. Kinakapa namin ang baby. Kasi by this time, manipis na yung myometrium, kapang-kapa na namin siya. And there are 4 Leopold's maneuver A, B, C, and D, or we call it Leopold's 1, 2, and 3, and 4. The first Leopold's maneuver is we are trying to feel what is in the fundus. Leopold's maneuver 2 is to put our hands on both sides of the mother, and we will report where can I feel the fetal back, where can I feel the fetal small parts. Leopold's 3 is I will now shift my hand to the lower uterine segment so I can feel what part of the baby is in the presenting part. Leopold's 1. So ang report namin sa chart, Leopold's 1, bridge. Leopold's 2, fetal back on the left. Kasi this is the mother's left. So Leopold's 1, bridge, because I can feel the buttocks. Leopold's 2 is fetal back on the left, and the fetal small parts are on the right. Leopold's 3 is cephalic. Ito, mahirap-hirap itong Leopold's 4. In Leopold's 4, you, as the doctor, will now go to the head part of the mother, face the legs of the mother, and put your two hands alongside the baby. So kanina, tinan mo, nasa nakatayo yung doktor, nandito sa may bandang legs ni mami, di ba? Kinapa yung Leopold's 1, Leopold's 2, Leopold's 3. Nandoon kayo sa may legs ni mami. Leopold's 4, lilipat kayo ng pwesto, pupunta kayo doon sa may ulunan ni mami at ilalagay niyo yung dalawang hands nyo. Now, the purpose of Leopold's 4 is to palpate where will you find the cephalic prominence. Yung bukol ng ulo, that's the cephalic prominence. Yung cephalic prominence ay haharang, it will stop your examining hand from going down. So your action is, I will put one hand on the left side, one hand on the right side, and I will move my hands downwards, papunta dun sa may simit ng mother, inguinal area. So I'm putting it down like this. But, yung ulo ni baby, pipigilan niya ang isang hand ko. So kung saan siya nandun. And the report here now will be, diba, Leopold's 1, bridge, Leopold's 2, fetal back on the left, Leopold's 3, cephalic. Leopold's 4, ang report is cephalic prominence is reported in relation to the fetal back and the fetal small parts. So, ang i-report ko dito, cephalic prominence is opposite the fetal back and is on the same side as the small parts. And what is the significance? If the cephalic prominence is opposite the fetal back, it means the head is flexed. Naka-flex siya. So, this is the position that we like. Gusto natin fully flexed ang ulo ni baby para madaling makalabas. So, gusto natin to. The cephalic prominence is opposite the fetal back. Okay. Now, mentioning to you the arrangement of the muscles of the uterus during pregnancy, the outer layer is like a hood arching over the fundus. The middle layer is a dense network of muscle fibers. Ang description nito is parang figure of 8, ang muscles sa myometrium. Figure of 8. Bakit? Kasi dun sa bilog ng 8, dumadaan ang blood vessels. So it is perforated in all direction by the blood vessels. So parang figure of 8, tapos dun sa mga butas ng 8, lumulusot yung blood vessel. Bakit importante ito? When the uterus contracts, yung figure of 8 muscle mag-i-squeeze. Figure of 8 siya eh. So, gano'n ang contraction niya. Ano mangyayari sa blood vessel? May iipit. Magsasara ang blood vessel. So, a uterine contraction, because the muscle layers are in figure of 8, with the blood vessels running through the muscles, each time the uterus contracts, it will shut down the blood vessels. What is the clinical importance? Pagka nanganak na yung pasyente, kailangan contracted ang uterus para hindi dumugo ang mami. So that is the purpose of the uterine contraction. It will constrict and compress the blood vessels so that the mother will not develop hemorrhage. So if the uterus is not contracting, magbibleed si mami. And another implication is during labor. During labor, the uterus contracts, but it must relax. Kaya ang mga labor pain, every 5 minutes, every 4 minutes. Kasi, pagka nag-contract ang uterus, naipit ang blood vessel, walang blood flow to the baby. Kaya kailangan mag-relax. So, contract, relax, contract, relax. Kaya ang baby, para mo siyang sinasakal, sakal ng konti, each time the uterus contracts. But if the baby is a very good situation, yung natitira niyang blood sa placenta, kaya siyang i-tide over until the next relaxation na makapasok ulit yung blood. Okay. And the internal layer is sphincter-like fibers dito lang sa may fallopian tube and the cervix. Take note of the cervix. Look at the cervix here. Meron tayong outer portion of the cervix, which is the external os, and the inside of the cervix, which we call the internal os. Kasi ganyan kahaba ang cervix eh. Merong os is the opening, outside is the external os, and inside is the internal os. And when we examine the mother, we do our internal examination, we put our fingers into the external os and see how many fingers does the cervix accommodate. Look at the arrangement of the muscles. Ito yung sinasabi ko, the outer is like a hood over the fundus. The middle is figure of 8. And in between the figure of 8 are the blood vessels running through the middle layer. Figure of 8. And then sphincter-like in the inner portion of alongside the cervix. Now, the uterus is supposed to contract strongly during labor. But even before labor, we have what we call irregular, painless uterine contraction. And if meron naman ang buntis nito. Meron naman may baby dito. Bakit nagtitigil na kayo dyan? May mga daddy na ba dito? Ha? Oh, secret. May mga daddy, Kasi ito yung mga complaint ng mga nanay na tigas ng tigas. That's what you call Braxton Hicks. So pwede siyang normal kasi gusto lang sabihin sa inyo, kahit sinasabi yung buntis tigas ng tigas, normal pa rin yan. It's irregular, it's painless, so tigas ng tigas lang, pag yun masakit. It is unpredictable. It will just occur sporadically. There is no rhythm. It may be mild, it may be strong, back to mild. Pag natulog si baby, wala. Pag natulog si mommy, wala na. And then, this is what we call false labor. So tayo, pagka nagkapasyente tayo, kailangan matuto tayo na mapag-differentiate natin yung totoong nag-labor at isang nagpa-Braxton Hicks lang. Kasi ayaw naman natin na ina-admit mo yung pasyente, nagbabayad siya ng kwarto, labor, yung pala false labor lang. At the same time, mahirap itong i-differentiate. So when you are in the emergency room and a woman comes to you, she says that she feels uterine contraction, and we assess physically, PE, internal examination, na hindi naman pala siya nagle-labor. Reassure the mother kasi baka mapahiya. Kasi may mga pasyenteng pumupunta, kasi sabihin, Mrs. di ka pa naman magle-labor, o lagi siya ka pa naman OA. Ginaganon ng mga, sometimes yung mga, like the midwives or sometimes the interns, don't do that because they themselves cannot distinguish. In fact, I'm telling you, may OB residents na to mga OB resident na pumunta sa ER, magpapa-examine, kala nila labor na sila. Sasabihin, hindi pa. Sila na mismo OB na yan, hindi nila alam sa sarili nila. So, reassure your patients, ha? Do not shame your patients. You tell them, okay lang yan, mukhang hindi ka pa pumapasok sa true labor. So, anuhin natin. Balik ka na lang ulit pag naging mas madalas, mas masakit. Now, this is to show you lang, look at the blood vessel of the non-pregnant woman and compare it to the pregnant. So, tignan nyo yung course ng blood vessel. Gaano kadami compared dito? Ang dami-dami dito. Susunod, tignan nyo gaano ka dilated and porous the blood vessels are. Kaya, ang babaeng buntis, sobra-sobra ang blood niya. Blood volume niya. Bakit? Kasi ang dami niyang dinadalang sustansya sa baby. At the same time, the blood of the mother is protecting her so that when she delivers, meron na siyang parang na-imbak na blood. Para pag nag-bleed siya, kasi wala nanganganak na hindi mag-bleed. So you need blood. Okay? Kaya, hindi kami nag-oopera ng buntis as much as possible dahil sobra ang blood volume niya. Halimbawa, may hemorrhoids siya, hindi namin gagalawin ang hemorrhoids niya. Kasi yung hemorrhoids niya masyadong juicy, masyadong plump na plump. Pag inoperahan mo yan, baka hindi mo ma-stop ang bleeding niya. Pag ang uterus niya may bukol, na myoma, as much as possible, kung pwede wag galawin, wag muna. Kasi minsan, after pregnancy, baka mag-shrink, baka lumiit. Kasi very torrential ang bleeding, basta ginalaw mo ang uterus. Kaya, ang cesarean section is not an ordinary procedure. It is a bloody procedure because of the amount of blood that is flowing through the uterus. Okay. Now, we want a very nice blood flow in the uterus and placenta kasi gusto natin maraming mapuntang oxygen and nutrition sa baby. So these are the substances that will make the blood flow better because of dilation of the blood vessel, vasodilation. And these are the substances that will constrict the blood vessel. So, ayaw natin na ang blood vessels ay constricted. Kasi pag constricted siya, walang oxygen, walang sustansya. And ano yung number 1 dito? Ayaw natin na mag-smoke si mami. Ayaw natin na second-hand smoke, nag-smoke yung asawa, yung mga kasama sa bahay. Bakit? Kasi vasoconstriction. At kung vasoconstriction ang effect of nicotine, konting oxygen, konting daloy na lang ng substances. So we don't want a vasoconstriction in the placenta. What do we want? We want vasodilatation. Let's talk about the cervix. Nakakita na ba kayo ng cervix through a speculum? Not yet. So this is a view. Imagine mo yung nanay nakahiga. The woman is in lithotomy position, meaning two of her legs are on the stirrups, and you have placed a metal speculum through the vagina. And when you put a speculum through the vagina and you open the speculum, this is the cervix. This is the view of a cervix. So this is a woman lying down in lithotomy position. You used a speculum, you put it inside the vagina, open the speculum, that's the cervix. Okay. Kaya ang speculum, hindi nakikita ang uterus, ha? So when you do, you write in your chart, speculum examination, cervix is, we will describe, it's pink, it's clean, I see whitish mucoid discharge. If I see a lesion, halimbawa may nakita akong bukol, we describe it na parang using the clock as a reference. Halimbawa, I will say, I see a 2x3 mass at 2 o'clock. Ganun ang description yan. Or I see a laceration at 7 o'clock. Ganon. At saka, we describe whatever discharge we see. The normal discharge is whitish, mucoid, and non-foul smelling. So dito pa lang sa examination, we can say, I can see grayish, fishy odor, or cheesy, yung mga candida, or bubbly, foamy, like trichomonas. And when we do an internal speculum, doon na tayo kakuha ng mga specimen natin for KOH or gram stain. So please do not say that the cervix is soft kung speculum. Kasi speculum is, what do I see? Do not say the uterus is 3-month size. Speculum yan. Nakita mo yung matres sa speculum. Hindi. So it's only visual. Okay. Now, after inspecting the cervix, we will do this is a vision of eversion of the cervix. Yung cervix parang nag-pout, nag-open up, lumitaw yung glands sa loob. So these are the endocervical glands. And then, because the cervix during pregnancy is edematous, increased in vascularity, ang daming blood vessel, glands are hypertrophic and hyperplasia, there is friability of the cervix. So for us who are examining the pregnant woman, when you insert the speculum, do it very gently. Because that is a metal speculum. Any injury or trauma to the cervix can cause bleeding already. So ingat lang tayo kasi kumbaga parang very friable, very soft ang cervix ng buntis. Kakahiya naman, gusto din ng pasyente. Pumunta ako sa FU, nagpa-examine ako, dinugo ako. Kasi ang rough daw yung papatingin. Kakahiya naman, diba? So, we tell you, it is soft and it's subverted. And we have cyanosis. Cyanosis meaning yung color niya ay hindi na yung pink ng non-pregnant, ang kulay na niya ay bluish or violaceous in color. Okay. Tapos, pag hinawakan mo siya, malambot siya. So the cervix that is non-pregnant is firm like your nose, and a cervix that is soft like your lips. So you can check the difference. This is a firm, non-pregnant cervix. This is a soft, pregnant cervix. And once again, pag na-touch nyo siya, ingat lang kasi pwede mag-bleed. Look at the difference. Okay? Ito, naka-evert, may konting violations ng konti. Okay. Now, the cervix also contains a mucus plug. So it is copious amount, maraming mucus na nakakapaloob sa cervix between the external os and the internal os. That mucus plug is protective. It protects the baby from infection para kung si mommy ay nagkaroon ng vaginal infection like fungus, candida, yan. Hindi ka agad aakyat papunta kay baby. Now, the mucus plug stays within the cervix. The moment the woman starts to experience uterine contractions and the cervix starts to open up, that mucus plug will fall out. Marirelease siya, and if it is expelled, it is sometimes called a show or a bloody show. So again, the woman will tell you, tumitigas na ho at saka may lumabas na konting dugo. Again, we must differentiate this from abnormal bleeding. We don't like a pregnant woman who is bleeding, but a show is different. Show is sipon. Mucus plug, sipon na may bahid ng dugo. Differentiate this pa, which tells you, meron na po ako nakitang dugo sa underwear ko. Paki-describe, ano yung itsura ng dugo? Para ba siyang sipon na may bahid ng dugo? Para ba siyang regla? Para ba siyang fresh na pulang-pula yung blood? Which is bad already. That's vaginal bleeding. Kasi again, ang hirap i-differentiate kung show o vaginal bleeding. Kasi ang vaginal bleeding, hindi tayo gumagawa ng internal examination. Hindi natin i-ID. Bakit? Baka previa. Baka mag-bleed ang pasyente. Mahirap talaga ang buntis na pasyente. It's so difficult because there are so many characteristics that you cannot differentiate kung normal or abnormal. Okay, that show mucus plug can also be very watery. Hindi mo ngayon alam, ano ba to, show or is this amniotic fluid already? Pag amniotic fluid, bad na naman yon kasi hindi dapat lumabas ang amniotic fluid nang hindi pa nagle-labor ang pasyente. So how will we differentiate? Yung bang nakikita natin a show or it is already amniotic fluid? You spread it on the slide. If you see beading pattern, it is a progesterone effect and this is a normal mucus plug. However, if you see firming pattern, that is already amniotic fluid. So ayaw natin makakita ng firming na amniotic fluid. Ay, grabe. Okay. Look. Beading pattern, mucus plug. Firming pattern, amniotic fluid. O tandaan niyo yan, ha? Lagi tinatanong yan. How will you differentiate if the cervical discharge is amniotic fluid or mucus plug? Amniotic fluid exhibits firming pattern when spread on a slide, whereas a mucus plug exhibits beading pattern. Okay. What happens to the cervix during pregnancy? Mahirap siyang, pag pinap-smear mo siya, that there are different changes in the cells that makes it difficult to diagnose if it is a atypical precancerous cell or just a normal cell of pregnancy. So when we do a pap smear, we have to put there patient is pregnant, so that the pathologist who is examining it will exert extraordinary effort to differentiate, am I seeing just a normal pregnancy-related change in the cervix, or am I already seeing a precancerous cell? Kasi nakakatakot baka ma-miss mo yung cancer. We have pregnant patients who have cancer. Okay? Kaya, in the clinics, when the patients come in, kahit na ang complaint nila pregnancy, kaagad ginagawa ng pap smear as much as possible. Kasi yung mga pasyente natin, in reality, hindi pumupunta for pap smear. So pag nakita natin, hinuhuli natin ganda natin ng pap smear yan habang nag-detail. And then you take note na lang in the pathologist na ano yung pasyente. Alright, next, ovaries. This is a view, laparoscopic view, of the inside of the abdomen. So this is actually looking at the top of the uterus. So yung camera, pinasok sa abdomen para matignan nyo kung ano itsura ng uterus. So this is looking at the uterus. The view is from the top. Okay? And then, this is the right ovary and this is the left ovary. So, nandito yung bladder sa taas, ito ay bitukan na po ito. At ito ay taba ng abdomen. So, ganito po ang itsura ng ovaries, right and left ovaries, hiding behind the uterus. And then, this is the fallopian tube. Fallopian tube ito, tapos sa harap yung round needle. What happens to the ovaries? Di ba sa menstrual cycle, maglalabas siya ng follicle, mag-ovulate siya, pagkatapos, pag hindi siya nabuntis, mag-slough off, ikot ulit, gawa ng bagong egg. But during pregnancy, ovulation stops. So you do not get pregnant while you are already pregnant. Pag nabuntis ka na, wala ka ng new egg because ovulation will stop because new follicle maturation is suspended. And that corpus luteum, ito lagi rin tinatanong. Balikan nyo yung menstrual cycle nyo. Once the egg comes out, yung follicle na pinanggalingan niya ay magiging corpus luteum. Yung nag-open up, lumabas yung egg. Yung corpus luteum na yon, kung hindi siya buntis, it will die. It will produce progesterone, then it will die. But if the woman is pregnant, that corpus luteum will not die. Kasi isi-save siya ni human chorionic gonadotropin. HCG will act to save that corpus luteum to make it continue to produce progesterone. So that the progesterone from the corpus luteum will maintain the secretory endometrium para hindi mamatay, hindi mag-menstruation, mag-continue ang pregnancy. So, laging tinatanong yan ha, that corpus luteum will function during pregnancy to produce progesterone. And that corpus luteum is continuously producing progesterone because of the action of HCG, because HCG looks like LH. Diba, HCG natin has alpha and beta. And if the alpha chain looks like FSH, TSH, and LH. So, yun yung function ng HCG. Now, ito naman corpus luteum, hanggang dun lang, 6 to 7 weeks, 8 weeks. Tapos, after that, bababa na yung level ng HCG. Bababa na siya. Hindi na niya isusupport si corpus luteum. Mamamatay na si corpus luteum kasi sino na magpo-produce ng progesterone, take over na si placenta. Hindi na niya kailangan ng corpus luteum with only the HCG anymore. So to correlate, HCG is only maximum 10 weeks, 12 weeks. Tapos after that, babagsak na. Ang HCG, ang cause ng hyperemesis ng buntis. Nasusuka siya dahil sa HCG. Meron pa bang nagsusuka ng second trimester, third trimester? Wala na. Kasi wala na HCG. Kaya HCG natin nasa first few weeks of pregnancy lang. Na may hyperemesis siya, tapos bababa na si HCG. Kasi hindi na siya kailangan. Kasi mamamatay na si corpus luteum. Kasi bakit mamamatay si corpus luteum? Hindi na niya kailangan ng mag-produce ng progesterone kasi meron na siyang takeover by the placenta. So you see the relationship, yung hindi na kailangan ng memorize, basta alam mo kung ano yung nangyayari. Okay. Now, this is how the corpus luteum looks like. Ito siya, oh. The corpus luteum, yellow siya, yellow. Sometimes nakikita yan sa laparoscopy. And then, later on, pag namatay na siya, ang tawag na sa kanya is corpora albicans. Now, because HCG looks like FSH, TSH, and LH, minsan, OA ang HCG, ang taas-taas ng HCG niya, ang taas-taas ng LH niya, nagkakaroon ng bilateral lutein. Kasi luteinizing hormone eh. Lutein cyst of the ovary. So it is exaggerated follicle stimulation, which we call hyperreaction luteinalis, usually bilateral. You have such a big ovary, dahil lang to sa HCG, acting like LH, but it is usually asymptomatic, sometimes with virilization. Hindi natin ginagalaw to because it is self-limited and it will resolve after the woman has delivered. Huhupa din yung bilateral ovaries na yan. Okay. So tapos na tayo sa uterus, cervix, ovary. Ano ang nangyayari sa fallopian tube? Again, this is the uterus. This is the fallopian tube. These are the ovaries. And this is the utero-ovarian ligament. Kita nyo naman uterus, ovary, the utero-ovarian. Ang fallopian tube, walang direct connection sa ovary. Di ba sabi natin, pag nag-ovulate at tumalon yung egg, kailangan masalo siya ng fallopian tube. Pag hindi siya nasalo ng fallopian tube, lulutang-lutang na lang yung egg hanggang sa mamatay na siya. So hindi siya mabubuntis. So if you have diseases that will prevent the fallopian tube from hugging the ovary, halimbawa, may infection, may endometriosis, naka-adhesion siya, hindi siya makagalaw, hindi niya masalo yung egg, hindi mabubuntis yung pasyente. Kasi yung egg niya, pagtalon, suicide na, talon yung egg niya. Kasi walang sumalo na fallopian tube. Okay? So what happens to the fallopian tube during pregnancy? Lalang, konti lang, wala na, hindi masyado. Ang role lang niya talaga, saluhin yung egg. Pag nasalo na niya at nag-transport na yung egg papunta sa uterus, wala nang ginagawa si fallopian tube. Pero very crucial siya. What if nasalo niya yung egg, na-fertilize, tapos hindi siya makadaan dito? Ectopic pregnancy. Diba? So kailangan walang kasakit-sakit ang fallopian tube para kayo magkaroon ng successful pregnancy. What other changes? There is vascularity, hyperemia of the vagina, Look at the violaceous color. So that is called Chadwick's sign. So remember, letter C, color, Chadwick's, cyanosis. Puro letter C yan ah. Color, cyanosis, Chadwick's sign. Okay. Look at the discharge. Pregnant women have increased vaginal secretions, white, acidic, leukorrhea. So the word leukorrhea means increased in vaginal discharge, but it is not pathologic, ha? Leukorrhea means marami lang discharge, pero ang buntis marami talagang discharge. So, Mrs., paano mo malalaman na normal lang ang discharge mo? Whitish, mucoid, non-foul smelling, hindi makate. Kasi ang hirap na naman yung masabi. So, ano naman yung abnormal discharge? May amoy, kulay yellow, cheesy, parang candida, frothy, tapos pruritus. Yan ang mga abnormal discharge. Look, this is what we call the cheesy. Cheesy, parang kesong puti. Candidiasis. Vulvovaginal candidiasis. Pregnant women are prone to candidiasis kasi nag-change yung pH ng vagina. Another condition that can happen is prolapse of the uterus. Look at the picture on the left. This is normal, ha? This is a woman who is facing here. This is a slice of a woman, sagittal. This is the sacrum. And this is the symphysis pubis, yung dalawang buto. So, behind the symphysis pubis is the bladder with the urethra, the uterus, and the vagina, and the rectosigmoid. This is how we explain to our patients, bakit lagi kaming nag-UTI, sabihin ng pasyente. Kasi po, mami, eto yung urethra mo. Daanan ng ihip. Katabing-katabi niya yung vagina at katabing-katabi niya yung anus. Yung tatlong orifices are all close to each other. And of course, the anus is dirty. The vagina can also carry bacteria, discharge. And this can easily travel and go to the urethra and cause urinary tract infection. And this is also the drawing that we show when we tell our mothers, paano mo mag-wash ng female babies ninyo. Pag naghugas kayo ng bata, ng baby, turuan nyo yung yaya nyo, pag nagwawash ng vagina area, huwag tamaan ng kamay ang puwet. So, wash first in front, the vagina area, and then, saka, huhugasan yung puwet. Pag ang kamay tumama sa puwet, huwag nang ibalik yung kamay sa vagina. Kasi may mga yaya, paano mag-wash? Mali yun. Kasi puwet, vagina, urethra, puwet, vagina, that's wrong. Because you are bringing all of this bacteria going to the urethra. And next, huwag mag-wash na galing sa likod ng bata. Kasi pag yung tubig mo, pinasiritan mo to, pupunta yung tubig papunta sa harap. Ang hirap pag female talaga ang child eh. So you have to teach the yayas how to wash. First, if you're going to wash the front area lang. And then if you're going to wash the back area lang. Do not wash from behind. Because the water coming from behind will bring again all those bacteria from UTI ang kaharap na. Okay. Now the next, what happens if you have pelvic organ prolapse? Pag marami nang naging anak ang pasyente, humihina lahat ng muscle support dito. Look at the uterus, it will drop down. That's why it says prolapse. So we have conditions wherein the uterus is down in the vagina already. Kasi ito yung mga supporting muscles niya, hindi na kayang i-support ang uterus. And this is a dropping down of the bladder, which we call cystocele. Normal, look at the bladder, it has fallen down. Drop bladder. Ayan ang bladder, oh, bumagsak dito. Cystocele. Tawag. Okay? And because you can have cystocele, you will have incontinence already. It can be what type of continence? Stress. Umubo, humaching, tumawa, mapapaihi. That is stress continence. More so pag yung head ng baby tumatama na. It causes extra pressure. Laging naiihi. And the pregnant woman cannot void completely. Hindi niya mailabas lahat ng ihi niya kasi nakaipit yung head ng baby. So, laging meron siyang residual urine. And that residual urine can be a cause of urinary tract infection. Also, at the same time, pag ginanon mo siya, iihi siya, mabilis mapuno, ihi na naman. So, ang mga buntis, balik sa CR. Sa gabi, bangon ng bangon kasi ihi na ihi. Next, breast. What are the changes that happens in the breast? Non-pregnant and pregnancy. So what happens will, the breasts will enlarge, they become tender, nipples will enlarge. The biggest change that is visible is the pigmentation. Iitim na yan. Compared to the pinkish, beige areola, in pregnancy, it becomes already very dark. And the darkness of the areola will never go back to the pinkish beige color. So once na nag-darken yan because of pregnancy, it's already an indication na meron na siyang previous pregnancy. Hindi na siya babalik sa light color na hindi pa nabubuntis. So, walang lokohan dito. Basta maitim na yan, nabuntis na yan. And this can cause also very large breast pathologic enlargement, which we call gigantomastia. Nakakaawa ito. Laki-laki ng breast, ang bigat-bigat. Napaka-tender. Kasi punong-puno na rin siya ng milk also. Changes in the skin. Stretch marks. We call that stria gravidarum. So they are elongated, they are reddish, pinkish, but after pregnancy, they become silvery already. Separation of the rectus, diastasis recti, the muscles of the abdominal wall separate because ang laki niya ng uterus. Hyperpigmentation of the face, cloasma or melasma, brown patches. So marami na tayong changes Chadwick's, stria, diastasis, okay. That linea in the middle becomes pigmented, it becomes linea nigra. Pero after pregnancy, balik ulit siya sa linea alba. Palmar erythema, vascular spiders, angioma, telangiectasis. Okay? Yan. No clinical significance. Pulang-pula lang ay itsura ng mga skin ng pasyente. Hyperestrogenemia. And then, hair falling can also occur during pregnancy. So we have pregnant women, minsan pag nagbubuntis, biglang nagpapagupit. Kasi minsan nahirapan na rin sila sa long hair nila. At the same time, nag-hair fall sila. Now, those are physical changes. Let us now go to metabolic changes. Basal metabolic rate. Di ba ang HCG, sabi natin, parang FSH, LH, and TSH. Parang TSH, parang siyang hyperthyroid. Ang buntis parang hyperthyroid. There is an increase in basal metabolic rate. She has large energy demands, increasing And because of the basal metabolic rate, she is always naiinitan. So pag may nakita ko dito nagpapaypay ngayon habang kayo iginiginaw, buntis ka, no? Sometimes may aircon na, may electric fan pa. Okay. Weight gain. Siyempre, may weight gain during pregnancy. Oh, by the way, do you have class at 9? Yes or no? Hindi nyo alam? May pasok ba kayo ng 9 o'clock? Wala. Tapos, 11 o'clock na ulit tayo magkikita. So, wala kayo ng 10 o'clock din. Free kayo. So, when we do the quiz at 11 o'clock, pagbalik ko dito, naka-arrange na kayo ha. Yung 1 seat apart, straight rows, okay. Well, the reason I'm asking is baka hindi ko siya kaagad matapos by 9, pwede ako mag-extend. Kasi wala naman kayong pasok ng 9. O may gumagamit ng 9 o'clock dito. Wala kayong napapansin ako. Gusto pumasok dito ng 9 o'clock. O, sige. Now, kasi mahaba ang topic, that's why I'm trying, if I need to go a little overtime, I will, so we can finish. Ayoko naman mabitin tayo no? So we have, what are the other changes? Weight gain, due to the blood volume and the reserve. Ganito ang usual weight gain ng buntis. Average lang to 27.5 pounds for the entire pregnancy. Patient can also develop edema because of water retention. And that water is coming from different sources, the fetus, the blood. And when is edema normal or abnormal? Ang manas ng buntis dapat sa paa lang. Hindi siya dapat magmanas sa mukha, sa mata. Kasi that is already renal or cardiac. So how will you differentiate if it's the edema of pregnancy? If she has been standing for a long time, syempre may ano siya, may iwan lahat ng fluid sa legs niya. So when will you see it? Early morning or late afternoon? Late afternoon, after prolonged standing. And then, if she lies down and lifts her legs up, yung fluid, mawawala, babalik. So if you have edema, when waking up in the morning, that's not normal edema. That can be a cardiac problem, congestive heart failure, or maybe a renal edema already. Next, protein metabolism. There is so much protein requirement for early pregnancy, and all of the products of conception, uterus, breast, and maternal blood are rich in protein. And then you have carbohydrate metabolism. These are the changes that will happen in pregnancy. She may have a mild fasting hypoglycemia, postprandial hyperglycemia, and hyperinsulinemia. Kayo, pag kumain kayo ng 6 o'clock ng umaga, anong oras kayo ulit nagugutom? 6:30? Pag kumain ka ng 6 a.m., usually, ano oras kayo nagugutom? 9 o'clock? 3 hours? Diba? Kasi ano nangyayari? Kumain kayo, nagkaroon kayo ng sugar ngayon sa blood nyo, yung pancreas nyo magre-release ng insulin, susunduin niya yung mga sugar na kinain nyo at ipadadala niya kung saan-saan. Sa brain, sa stomach, sa muscle. So by the end of 3 hours, wala nang sugar yung blood nyo kasi na-distribute na. Kaya gutom ulit kayo. Sa buntis, iba ang nangyayari. Pag ang buntis ay kumain at ang sugar niya ay nasa blood, hindi kaagad makuha ng insulin yung sugar niya sa blood. Kasi, ang nangyayari, yung kinain niyang sugar sa blood, pupunta muna kay baby. Pupunta muna kay baby, preferentially pupunta kay baby. So, ang nangyayari, there is a postprandial hyperglycemia because the sugar is left longer in the bloodstream so that it can go to the baby. And because the sugar is still in the bloodstream, the pancreas is secreting more insulin. Kaya hyperinsulinemia kasi ano ba naman yung sugar na yan? Laliin na kayo kung pumasok na kayo dito. Kaya niya masundo-sundo in pregnancy. Tapos, pagka nag-fasting naman siya, sobrang bagsak naman ng sugar niya kasi nawala lahat ng sugar niya. Napunta lahat talaga kay baby. So most of our changes here in pregnancy is kinukuha ni baby lahat ng kailangan niya kay mommy at the expense of mommy. Okay? So in these instances, because that sugar stays a longer time in the blood, she is sometimes developing gestational diabetes. Kasi hyperglycemic siya. Okay. So this is just a way, what I was telling you, blood glucose level is increased, suma total na mataas ang blood sugar level niya. Kaya meron kayong gestational diabetes. And in the clinics, Filipinos have been identified already as really very high risk for diabetes. Kaya first visit pa lang sa prenatal, kaagad naka-FBS na kami. Fasting blood sugar. Kaagad naka-urinalysis kami. Baka mamaya meron siyang infection sa urin. So, ito yung sinasabing one of the diseases that can unmask an existing diabetes. And in how many years, because diabetes is now a pandemic, lahat tayo ay magkakaroon ng diabetes. Itaga nyo sa pato yan. So kung gusto nyo marami kayong pasyente, pasukin nyo, endo, diabetes, papunta yung pasyente, check sugar, o itong gamot nyo, balik ka after 3 months. Check sugar, o balikan gamot, balik ka after 3 months. Walang katapusan yan. So kung gusto nyo hanggang 90 years old may pasyente ka, pumunta ka sa endo. Okay. Then there is a lowering of the insulin sensitivity, kaya ang taas ng insulin niya because of all of these hormones with increased insulin resistance. So what happens in pregnancy? There is increased insulin resistance. There is hyperglycemia. Blood sugar increases. Yan. Kaya diabetic ang pasyente mo. And then, because of that hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia, if you will have hypoglycemia, you will have so much free fatty acids and ketonemia in the patient. What about fat metabolism? You will have maternal hyperlipidemia because of increased insulin resistance and estrogen stimulation, kaya marami rin siyang storage. Again, bakit? Kasi kailangan ni baby. And the hormones secreted by the adipose tissue in non-pregnant women, which has a role in energy and body fat, important for implantation and deficiency and ovulation and fertility, meron din yan sa pregnancy. So kung bumagsak dito, magiging infertile ang patient nyo. These are other adipocytokines. Okay, now, ang importante lang dito, gusto ko lang malaman nyo, what are increase, decrease, and unchange in pregnancy. Tandaan nyo ha, what are increase, decrease, and unchanged lang. Oh. What is increase? Glomerular filtration rate. What is glomerular filtration rate? Yung dumadaloy na fluid sa kidney. Bakit mataas ang glomerular filtration rate? Kasi ang taas ng blood volume niya. So ang daming dumadaan sa kidney. And because mataas ang glomerular filtration rate, some of our values are lower because there is so much fluid passing to the kidney. iodine requirement. Increased iodine requirement. That's why the DOH is prescribing iodized salt for our women in the barangays and the local health center. Kasi baka iodine deficient ang mga pregnant women natin. Pinaka-increase is iron requirement. Kasi nga, ninanakaw ni baby. So tayong mga mag-aalaga sa buntis, kung walang pera si mommy for whatever vitamins, she needs the iron. That's priority. Kahit wala muna siya ng ibang mga temporarily, hindi mo maibigay yung mga ibang needs niya, like calcium, milk, other vitamins and minerals. Do not skip iron. Kasi mag-a-anemia talaga ang pregnant women natin. Decreased concentration of sodium, potassium, decreased calcium, decreased magnesium, and change for this. Okay, so please tandaan nyo to, talagang need niya talaga ang iron. Okay. Where will we get our calcium? Of course, these are the food sources, because the fetus also gets the calcium. So pregnancy really para siyang may parasite. Kinukuha lahat ng mga sustansya niya. And you either increase maternal calcium absorption or dietary intake. So actually, kasama yan sa pag nag-prescribe ka. May iron ka, may calcium ka. What about iodine? Because it increased also, the requirement is increased. Are you aware of the newborn screening? You are aware. Our newborns are tested for diseases. And trivia lang, in the late 1990s, nag-uumpisa pa lang mag-newborn screening. Ini-introduce pa lang sa Pilipinas. There were only about 6 or 7 hospitals in that pilot study. And FEU was one of the pioneers of newborn screening. So there was UPPGH, there was Mary Charles, there was FEU, USD nga, hindi kasama, UAE, hindi nga kasama. But we were one of the pioneers nung nag-uumpisa pa lang ang newborn screening. Kasi, ang mga mamis natin, pag hypothyroid, nag-hypothyroid yung baby, ano kasunod mo? Maternal, fetal mental retardation. Kaya kailangan maaga pa lang, mahabol mo na yung baby mo. Okay. Important, hematologic changes. Hypervolemia. Diba sabi ko, ang dami-daming blood volume sa babies. So there is so much metabolic demands on the enlarging uterus to provide nutrients and elements, protect against blood loss during pregnancy. Ang dami-daming blood volume sa buntis. There is so much RBC, hypervolemia, such that naiiwan naman sa dami ng plasma volume, naiiwan si RBC, nagiging anemic si mommy. That's why you are running after the protein for the patient. The hemoglobin hematocrit will decline. And if it's below 11, it is already diagnosed as iron deficiency anemia. Iron metabolism, iron requirement, 300, 200, and most is used during the latter half of pregnancy. Also, even if your woman is anemic, the baby is not anemic. Kukunin ni baby yung iron ni mom. So if you have women, I have seen in the clinics, ang mga buntis, hemoglobin 6. Magtataka ka, ba't di nahihigo eh? Hemoglobin 6, hemoglobin 5, pero ang mga babies nila hindi anemic. Nakuha lahat ng baby. Okay. What about the immunologic changes in pregnancy? Decrease, decrease, increase. Yun lang, sabi ko, di ba? What are decrease, increase, and unchange? So, you decrease the T helper, T cells, and increase immune globulin A and immune globulin G. Ito, WBC. Special mention. Alam niyo ba na mataas ang WBC ng buntis? Pwedeng maging normal sa kanya yung 15,000. Pwede pang umabot ng 20,000 to 25,000. Ano implication nito? Hindi natin ma-diagnose. May appendicitis ba siya? Kasi ang WBC count niya 20,000. May UTI ba siya? Ang hirap kasi ang WBC count niya taas. Pero it can be normal. That's the problem. It can be normal. So, we have a very high WBC count which can be considered normal. Increase, decrease, decrease, increase. Look, inflammatory markers, CRP, ESR, increase. Hindi na naman natin ma-diagnose. May tuberculosis ba siya? May inflammation ba siya? May infection ba siya? Hindi namin ma-diagnose if you are just going to rely on markers. Kasi talagang mawiwindang ka sa i-change ng pregnancy for all the blood markers. Elevation of the pregnancy leukocyte count can reach as high as 25,000. So just remember that when you are managing your patient, WBC counts can go up or down. Markers cannot be used to diagnose inflammation. Changes again, ayun ulit, increase, decrease, no change. Increase clotting factors, fibrinogen, thromboxane, protein C, decrease, no change. What about the spleen? Super laki ang spleen by up to 80% because of the increased blood volume and changes in pregnancy. So it can go up, up, up. Okay. Kasi tayo ba yung tayo? Kanta tayo muna. Okay. What about the heart? Tignan nyo itong yung kulay blue. Nakikita nyo ba yung blue? Alright. Yung blue yung normal. Ito yung diaphragm na blue. Ito yung lungs. Ito yung heart. Anong nangyayari sa pagbubuntis? Umakyat yung diaphragm. Yung sa black line. Bakit umakyat? Kasi yung uterus nandito, tinulak siya pataas. Dahil tinaas niya to, yung lungs, isiniksik din niyang pataas. Pagkatapos, yung heart, itinulak din niyang pataas at napaling yung heart papunta sa left. Ano ang nakikita nyo sa kulay itim na heart compared sa kulay blue na heart? Parang ang laki. Di ba? Lumaki, naging plump. It moved to the left. Parang cardiomegaly. So again, hirap na naman sila mag-diagnose. Ano ba to? Cardiomegaly ba to? O pregnancy-induced change lang? So in the ECG, there will be left axis deviation. Ang hirap na naman may ECG ang buntis talaga. There will be a systolic murmur, a soft diastolic murmur. O paano mo malalaman ngayon kung may sakit sa puso si baby, si mommy? Ang hirap, no? Because she will have normal murmurs. Okay. And then, changes in the heart sounds, increased cardiac output, increased heart rate, increased stroke volume. Ano nakikita nyo? Parang siyang congestive heart failure, no? Lumaki ang heart, ang laki ng output, ang bilis-bilis ng heart rate, ang lakas ng stroke volume. So it looks like you have a woman who is in congestive heart failure already. But actually, this is normal. But what are decreased. Tandaan nyo yung mga increase-decrease natin, ha? Mean arterial pressure, decreased resistance, both in vascular and pulmonary resistance. Ayaw natin ng resistance. So, dapat bagsak ang BP natin. More of vasodilatation for the patient. Ito na naman. What are the increase, decrease, and no change? Increase cardiac output, volume, preload, exon splitting, and the basal metabolic rate. Decrease resistance, mean arterial pressure, and BP. So, dapat mas mababa ang BP ng increase. No change for the ECG except for the left axis deviation. Components of the second sound: pulmonary wedge pressure, central venous pressure, and the antecubital venous pressure. Okay, there is a phenomenon in pregnancy which we call the supine hypotension syndrome. Pag humiga siya, flat on her back, nawawalan siya ng malay. Supine hypotension syndrome. Bakit? Kasi pag humiga siya ng flat, yung matris niya, biglang naipit yung aorta niya. So, walang blood flow na umaakyat papunta sa brain. Bumabagsak bigla ang BP. Compression of the inferior vena cava also occurs. Kaya ayaw namin na flat on bed si Mami. We want her, anong position? Left lateral decubitous, so that there will be no pressure on the aorta and the inferior vena cava. Also, pag ang buntis gusto natin patayuin, huwag bigla-biglang tatayo. Kayo, ang klase natin 7 o'clock. Ano oras kayo gumising? 6:59. Tapos nakita nyo, ay! Bigla kayong napatalon. Yun ay kung bigla kayong napatalon, ang baliwala lang sa inyo, darating na lang kayo ng 7:30, whatever. Pero yung mga medyo may konting konsensya pa, ay, malilate ako, biglang tatayong bigla. Pag biglang tayo, ano nangyari? Nahilo. Kasi ang blood circulation nyo, nasa legs, hindi makaakit sa brain kaagad. In the same way, hindi lang sa buntis, pati sa inyo. When you're lying down, and you have to get up, sit up first. You sit up, swing your legs down the bed, and stay sitting for a while. Do not directly stand up. Nyari na iihi kayo sa hating gabi, nagising kayo sa madaling araw. Pag nagising kayo, marami sa mga pasyente namin, bumabagsak, nahihilo. Yung naihi, biglang bangon pupunta sa CR. Bagsak ang dito niyan. So, for the pregnant women, and for you also, do not immediately stand up. For the pregnant women, we also teach them how to stand up on their own. Kasi minsan yung mga gano'n nakahiga sila tapos papahila sila sa asawa nila. Hihilahin yung arms nila para sit up. Now, we have to teach them, roll on your left side, swing your legs, use one arm to push yourself onto a sitting position, and rest for a few seconds. Stand up for a few seconds. Huwag mo na umalis malayo sa bed. Kasi pag tayo at nahilo, mabilis uupo sa bed. Pag medyo hindi naman nahilo, saka lumakan papunta sa banyo. So, also for all of you, and if you have elderly, meron ba kayong mga kasama sa bahay na elderly? Ganun din na ibibili nyo, huwag silang tatayo kaagad. Unti-unti lang in stages. And also remember, when you are already doctors, you will have patients in the ward. You are taking care of patients. Teach them to, nangyari bagong opera, they want to sit up muna. Pag nahilo, higa ulit. Stand up. Pag nahilo, higa ulit. After standing up, uupo muna sa chair sa tabi. hindi yung diretso tayo lakad. You do it in stages so that your circulation can accommodate. Now, we have also what we call the renin-angiotensin axis, wherein the kidney produces renin so that there will be angiotensin. This is a pathway that is being changed by the spinal arteries. If you remember again our placenta, wherein the trophoblast will invade the spinal arteries so that the spinal arteries will dilate and become vasodilated so that they will not undergo vasoconstriction. So the renin-angiotensin, there is a refractoriness of the pregnancy. Okay? These are the different substances secreted by the heart, and endothelin as a vasoconstrictor. If there is too much endothelin, pathologically elevated levels play a role in preeclampsia. Kasi pag vasoconstriction, high blood, preeclampsia yan. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. If you remember the slides a few minutes ago lang, vasodilatation, vasoconstriction. Nasaan si nitric oxide? Vasodilation. Ano yung nasa vasoconstriction? Nicotine. Endothelin. Naalala nyo? Prostaglandin. Okay, if elevated, controls again blood pressure and sodium balance. Prostaglandin, will maintain vasodilatation. Now, let's go to the lungs. Yung picture kanina, pag tumaas ang diaphragm na ipit, diaphragm rises by 4 cm, widening of the subcostal angle, increase in thoracic circumference, and greater diaphragmatic expansion. What we need you to remember for this entire lecture, anong nangyayari kay Mami? Per organ system. Increase, decrease, and change. Rises, widens, increases. Okay. And look at the pulmonary function. Tignan ninyo ito. Or if you forgot this is in physiology. Tidal wave and respiratory reserve volume. Dito na lang natin tignan kasi hindi nyo na siguro alam ang mga graph nyo. Increase, decrease, no change. Increase tidal volume, inspiratory capacity. Minute ventilatory volume, oxygen uptake, oxygen carrying capacity. Pag hindi kayo sure, isipin nyo, what is the goal of pregnancy? Kailangan I have more oxygen to give to my baby. I must have more protein. I must have more fats, more sugar to give to my baby. And because I'm giving it all to my baby, my iron is falling. My calcium is falling. Kasi I'm giving it away. Ay, ganun. So, decreased functional residual capacity, decreased residual volume, resistance, no change. Okay. There is enhanced respiratory drive. Feeling ng buntis, hinihingal siya because of the respiratory drive of the hormone. So, mas mataas yung inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So, ang feeling niya, hinihingal siya. Okay. And then, because of increased tidal volume, nire-release niya ang PCO2, nagkakaroon ng alkalosis, shift to the left so that there will be ang suma total increased affinity for oxygen. So yung changes niya, ano nangyayari? More oxygen pa rin. Vasodilatation, more perfusion. More inspiration, more oxygen. See? Hyperventilation is reduced maternal PCO2. She throws out her PCO2. And ang ending niyan is so that oxygen will be released from the mother to the fetus. What about the kidneys? Pag natapos tayo nito, magbubuntis pa ba kayo? Ayaw nyo na. So, gentlemen, the purpose of this lecture is for you to realize how much your partners will be going through for every pregnancy. And for you to understand how the changes will affect your partners. And for the women to realize pregnancy is not a joke. And there are so many changes in your body that will sort of push you to getting sick. Akala nyo, nagkakaroon sa kayong sakit. So you realize what are the changes. Okay. Glomerular filtration rate will increase sa sabihin, ang dami fluid na idadaan doon sa kidney para siya ay umihi. Okay. What will happen to the ureter? Hydronephrosis on the right. Kasi anong umiipit sa right ureter at right kidney? Uterus. Bakit iniipit ng uterus? Dextroregulation. So pag tinanong sa'yo, which kidney develops hydronephrosis? Right, kasi alam nyo may dextroregulation to the right. See, it's there. Because cushioning of the left ureter by the sigmoid and greater compression of the right as a consequence of dextroregulation. Ito na ulit. What are the changes? The kidney becomes a little longer. It dilates with hydronephrosis and ureteral dilatation. Confused with obstructive uropathy. Retention of urine will lead to infection. Kaya pagka as OB, pag tatawag kami ng consult, cardiology consult, infectious consult, may ibang sakit si mami. It's a difficult team. It must be a team work because we have to decide what is happening to our patient. Do we have to do this or not? Will the test be accurate or not because of the different changes? Renal function, increased glomerular filtration rate, and relevant, the serum creatinine is low in pregnant. So her normal value is not the same as a non-pregnant. So mababa siya, and because of that, if you have a normal value for creatinine, baka may sakit na yung pasyente mo. Serum creatinine of 0.9, which is normal for us, may be already an indication of renal disease kasi mababa ang creatinine ng buntis. Let's talk of urinalysis. Pag may sugar sa urine, hindi ibig sabihin may UTI na yung pasyente, may diabetes na yung pasyente. Kasi sa taas ng sugar niya sa blood at saka yung glomerular filtration rate, pag may sugar sa urine, hindi yan diagnosis for diabetes. She has to undergo an oral glucose tolerance test. But proteinuria is abnormal, and this is one of the early indications of preeclampsia. Blood in the urine may be a contamination, so requires further investigation. Proteinuria of more than 300 milligrams per day is significant. We can do it by dipstick 24 hours or albumin creatinine, protein creatinine. What about the GIT? Gastric emptying time may be prolonged during labor. Importante ito. Pag ang pasyente pumasok sa ORDR, tinatanong natin, Mrs. kailan po kayo huling kumain o uminom? Kasi, anong relevance ito? Pag magbibigay tayo ng anesthesia, ayaw natin na may laman ng tiyan. But sometimes, kumain niya ng 6 a.m., expected mo, 10 a.m., wala na laman ng tiyan mo, may laman pa yan. Pwede pa siya mag-aspirate. So we are very careful in giving anesthetic to our pregnant women because their stomachs may still have some food inside and they may have aspiration pneumonia. Okay? And sometimes our pregnant women will not tell you the truth. Mrs. kailan ka huling kumain? Kagabi pa ho. Di okay, 12 hours NPO. Yun pala, bago siya pumunta ng ospital, pinainom siya ng nanay niya na isang basong gatas na may hilaw na itlog para daw dumulas yung baby. Tapos pinagkape pa siya kasi daw hindi siya pakakainin sa delivery room kaya sumingit siya ng mga kakainin niya. So you have to be very, very careful in asking your patients because we might have accidents of anesthesia, aspiration pneumonia for our patients. Next, our patients are complaining of sinisikmura, pyrosis, or heartburn. Why? Yung acid reflux, GERD. Gastroesophageal reflux. Laging meron ng buntis niya. Yung acidic secretions will go back into the lower esophagus because of the pressure of the stomach. So we tell our pregnant women, huwag kumain ng marami sa isang sitting. Do small meals, frequent meals. Do not lie down immediately. Parang GERD. Di ba ganun din ng mga GERD? Huwag umiga agad kasi re-reflux yung kinain mo. So it's the same. To prevent heartburn, ang hirap nito, will pyrosis mask an MI? Di ba? Myocardial infarct. Okay. Why is pyrosis common in pregnancy? The stomach is pushed up. The lower esophagus tone is decreased. The pressure of the esophagus is lower than the stomach pressure. Therefore, the stomach can push up the acidic secretion and esophageal peristalsis has lower wave speed and lower amplitude. Changes in the gums may become hyperemic and soft. Hemorrhoids are common in pregnancy because of so much blood volume, nag-iedema yung hemorrhoids nila. Hindi ito inoperahan during pregnancy. You know, I had a patient before, napilitan kami mag-cesarean section kasi lumobo yung hemorrhoids niya such that yung vagina niya, nandun na yung hemorrhoids. Aabot na sa foreshade na pwede pag lumabas yung baby, maglalacerate yung hemorrhoids, hindi mo sabi nung surgeon sa akin, hindi namin makokontrol ang bleeding sa hemorrhoids niya pag na-lacerate yan. Kasi masyadong, galit na galit yung hemorrhoids niya. Sabi ko sa akin, pag yan pinanak mo ng normal, lalayasan ko ka. Sinabihan ako ng surgeon na, we had to do cesarean kasi talagang, ito yung vagina, kumbaga, di ba may exotomy minsan, walang place to cut. Maglalacerate yun, nakapatay ka na. Alright, changes, increase, decrease ulit. So look at the enzymes, and look at the last item here, gallbladder contractility. Pag ang gallbladder, hindi nagko-contract, ano nangyayari? Naiiwan yung laman sa loob. Pag naiwan yung laman sa loob, sludge, lalapot, naiiwan. Ano mangyayari pag lumapot, naiwan? Bato. So ang pregnant woman can develop gallstones. See, gallstones, pregnancy gallstones have an increased risk of biliary colic and acute pancreatitis because of decreased gallbladder contractility and increased residual volume. Ang hirap pa naman, ayan ang pregnancy, ayan ang gallbladder. Paano ka mag-o-opera sa gallbladder habang buntis ang pasyente? nakaharang ang pregnancy. So, how will you remove, let's say, an inflamed gallbladder during pregnancy? What happens if the pituitary gland enlarges, growth hormone unchanged, increased prolactin, eto, thyroid. Hyperplasia and increased vascularity, increased thyroxine binding globulin. Now, one thing about the thyroid, because there is increased thyroxine binding globulin, TBG, when you request for T3 and T4, hindi siya accurate because mataas yung thyroid binding globulin niya. So, remember, pagka nagsususpect kayo na may thyroid problem ang pregnant patient nyo, free T3, free T4 ang i-request. Free. Unbound T3 and T4. Kasi it will be, the TBG will change your values. So, increase, decrease, okay. Ayan pa, mga increase. Nasa ano naman yan, sinasummarize lang namin. Look at the thyroid gland, increase TBG, T4, T3. So there is no change in free T3, free T4. So ito ang i-request nyo pag kayo ay nagsususpect ng thyroid problem. There is moderate enlargement of the thyroid gland during pregnancy. At saka lahat ng iniinom nyo for thyroid, please, tumatawid sa placenta and can affect the fetus. So if you are taking thyroid suppressing medication, it will cross the placenta and suppress also the thyroid of the baby. So yun yung mga tatandaan nyo. Huwag kayo magpapa-radioactive iodine, sisirain din na yung thyroid ng baby. Iodine increases in normal pregnancy and the fetus needs thyroid hormone for the nervous system. Kaya meron tayong newborn screening kasi ang daming hypothyroid na bata na pwede natin i-correct kaagad. The parathyroid's action is to raise calcium, lower phosphate levels, and then cortisol rises in preparation for stress during pregnancy, delivery, and lactation. Increase aldosterone to protect against the effect of progesterone, modulate trophoblastic growth and placental size, and increase of deoxycortisone. Now, look at the position of the mother during pregnancy. She has lordosis. Because the uterus is falling forward, what is your compensation? You will lean back. And because you're leaning back, you have a lordosis, you will have low back pain. Kaya, bilib ka rin naman sa mga buntis na nag-high heels pa. Because that is prone to accident, at the same time, that is bad for your back. Because you are compensating for that big uterus. You will have greater mobility of the joints because of the enlarging uterus to shift the center of gravity back over the extremities. The eyes decrease intraocular pressure, presence of Krukenberg spindles. Okay. What about CNS problems? Concentration, memory, difficulty in sleeping, reduced sleep, frequent awakening, pagka nanganak naman, postpartum blues, depression, and sometimes suicidal ideation. So, ang purpose natin ngayon ay tignan natin ano ba ang nangyayari sa buntis. Hirap siyang huminga. Ang laki-laki ng suminan. ihi siya na, ihi. Anemic na siya. Para siyang hyperthyroid. Anemic siya. So, there are a lot of changes which actually are physiologic that causes a lot of discomfort for the patient. So at least when you take care of your patients, may idea na kayo paano nyo alagaan mo siya. And for our ladies here, na gusto na lang maging fur mom, ayaw na mag-mom, and for the gentlemen who later on will have their partners getting pregnant, alagaan nyo yung mga partners mo kasi they're going through a lot. And ang alam ko na mahirap, postpartum. Kasi when the mother delivers the baby, and the care of the baby totally falls on the mother, hindi makakatulog yan, tas bangon. We have a lot of mental issues now. Ewan ko kung iba na ang mga generation nila, at least mag-mental issue na mga stress at yung postpartum bumabalik, tapos may depression, may anxiety. Kaya kailangan may support group din sa hopefully nandiyan yung mother, tsaka nandiyan yung husband, yung tutulong-tulong. So when we take care of our pregnant patients, we have to take into consideration everything. Dati hindi kami masyado on the mental, pero we're having a lot of patients now na yung meron silang anxiety. So we have to help them through that. And especially meron pa tayong breastfeeding, they should be breastfeeding our patients. So do you have any questions? Wala. Okay, natapos ko rin siya before 9 o'clock. And so, ang bilin ko lang sa inyo is, when I come back for the quiz at 11, I will be coming from, I have a class at 10 o'clock, 10 to 11. I'll be coming from another floor, I think second floor. Ayusin nyo na yung mga sarili nyo. One seat apart, straight rows for your quiz. Okay? May question? Wala. Alright. Pwede na kayong mag-breakfast.